Such an honor to welcome back a cat who has really made his mark in individualistic music, instrumental music. In today's world, we're so driven by comping and copying and watered down versions of this, that, and the other. And my guest luckily came up in Philadelphia, a bastion of incredible individualistic musicians. He learned from those cats and then took it on his own with his peers and soared to relevance in so many different ways all across this world. And so good to reconnect. Gerry Brown, welcome back to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Man, Jake, my brother, man.
So good to hear you, man.
Man, hey, it's great to hear you, man. It's great to talk. Yeah, man. I'm still at it, and I'm maybe some people may say, man, I didn't know dinosaurs are still alive. I said, yeah, there may be just different forms and stuff like that, but I've really been very fortunate that kind of like since the 70s, and now it's almost 2024, man. So I'm still doing it, and
you feel like you're. I mean, I've talked to a lot of cats, quote unquote dinosaurs, that are still here, and they in a lot of they say that they're playing better than they ever have in their life. Do you feel that way?
I feel that I've refined many things, and I will just say, in playing, and I think this goes to, I mean, definitely music, and in some ways, to sports. Fortunately, in music, I think you have more of a longevity, and I think it's even more relevant. But there's like this key word: adjustments.
Yeah.
And readjustments.
And not in-game adjustments, but over your career.
Over the career, because stuff is changing.
Right.
The different things applied from the 70s than they are now. So you're making adjustments, and then you're making readjustments, and then you're adjusting the readjustments. So it's
I dig.
You dig?
I dig, man.
So yeah, this is, and kind of, it helps if you can, and within these readjustments and so on, and that there's some, compromise and the realization that, this is, maybe a little different ball game. But you want to stay in the game, you're going to have to make these adjustments. You're going to have to make some, maybe some compromises. You got to be the team player.
Gerry, I want to stop you. You're nailing this, and I want you to talk about. So last night I had the honor of being a guest of Tower of Power. I know those David Garibaldi, Jerry Cort, a lot of the guys in the band, Emilio. And I was on the side of the stage. And obviously I'm not sure if you saw Tower back in the day. I'm not sure if they came through Philly or, but, last night they played some really cool, they played their tunes, and then they played some really cool, funky versions of Christmas tunes, and that was, ultimately, this is their way of being able to road dog it in this time, is to play recognizable old hits and then Christmas tunes. and none of them were like. What saddened me is that they got this Roger Smith on Oregon from Sacramento. I mean, these guys are ridiculous players, and yet
Yes.
everything was super tight. There was no stretching out, and these guys could completely stretch out if they wanted to. But it's just, and I wonder if that's what the sacrifice is. What you're talking about is they're like, because for me, I mean, it's just the idea of saying, okay, if I want to be in this band, then I can't take as many bars as I want. We can't leave the head of the tune and go and have fun. We just have to keep it really tight and within that, make it musical. And I want to do, is that the sacrifice you're talking about? Like, if you want to play the game, then maybe you're not going to artistically have full creative control?
If you want to frame it like that, yes. I would frame it in a different way. In that, if you want to be on the team,
right,
then this is what you're going to have to do, because there's somebody waiting for you to possibly, you can be replaced.
right.
So, do you want to be on the team? Do you want to be the team player? Okay, well, this is what you're going to have to do. And if you can still be on the team, well, not only is that a good thing, but let's look in as far as life's choices. Man, do you want to have that roof over your head?
Totally. Yeah, right.
So, and man, okay. I'm my significant. Well, I could say significant other, but I call my significant hubba. but she's a doctor of psychology.
Right.
So I've picked up on a lot of things that we've talked about anyway. So, with this team player thing, it kind of comes down to, yes, we all have choice. Yes, we all have a choice. However, in that choice, it is you, because of your choice, you will deal with those consequences. So, if you don't want to play that and you say, I want to go on, and do something else, okay, you go ahead and do that. So, in regards to Tower of Power, hats off to them, man. Kudos to them, because they're still out there playing. They got roofs over their head. They're feeding their families. Life goes on. They're out there working. They're still playing their stuff, but they're giving you a taste of something else. In this case, Christmas, and putting you in the Christmas vibe. And, it's have a merry, funky Christmas.
Dude, I'm telling you, the Santa Claus is coming to town is funky as hell. But I want to ask you this as a macro question. You're a wonderful partner. Obviously, you've delved into the psychology a little bit, but I feel like you have the arc of history longer than me, and whether it was Lee Morgan, Max Roach, Blue Mitchell, McCoy Tyner, any of these guys, okay? Like, they were uncompromisable about their art. And, and they still found a way, although there were plenty of cats scuffling, but the ones I mentioned, they still found a way to commodify their uncompromisable creativity and have a roof over their head and feed their families. And, nobody was millionaires, but that wasn't beyond the point. Like, It was, and now we are in this time, even now, where what I'm focused on, like a laser, is this idea of, in order to play that game and be a team player, you're going out and you have to play, like last night, recognizable old tunes or something thematic related to this time of the season, like Christmas, in order to monetize it. And my question is, do you feel that eventually, I have to believe that club owners, I know club owners in the 70s were saying to cats in Santa Cruz and other parts of the country, why are you playing covers, man? We want to hear your original shit. And the audience dug that too. They wanted to hear the original stuff. And now we've gone towards conformity. My question is, will it come back around at some point, maybe not in our lifetimes, where original spiritual music is coveted and also you're able to sing for your supper doing it?
I hope so. I really hope so. But, within your question, it's like, you talk about the club owners of the 70s.
Right.
It's like, okay, yeah, I understand that, but okay, where are they now? Are they still here? Or do they still own clubs? Maybe not. So it's like,
it's a mindset.
It's a mindset, and so all that is shifted. So
right,
it's like, this is the hand that you're being dealt. So what are you going to do? Are you going to play, or are you going to fold?
Right.
What are you going to do?
I wanted to ask you, it's something in my gut tells me that I'd like you to talk to the audience about, did you, it's for some people it was self-evident. They wanted to be recognized for the genius that they were, Lester Young, Prez, and Dexter Gordon, and all these cats moved to Europe. But did you primarily move to Europe in the early 80s, not just because there were more gigs, but because you had more creative control of your music?
I kind of.
You tell me. That was just a guess. I don't know.
I would say. I actually made a move in the early 70s because I had studied classical music, percussion ensembles and stuff like that. And one of my teachers, he passed away a couple of years ago, was the great percussionist from the Philadelphia Orchestra, Alan Abel. Wow. And great training. Wow. However, part of what was going on was that I was playing more R&B and jazz, and as great as the classical stuff was, and Alan would gift me tickets to see, I saw Eugene Ormandy and stuff like that, but kind of like really ahead, cut to now where people say, yeah, well, I didn't see myself, I didn't see my my people represented. Right. I certainly didn't see him then, and so I was doing jazz and R&B, and an opportunity came to move to Europe, and that was definitely one of the best things that I ever did from the cultural standpoint, global standpoint of meeting other people from other places on the planet and seeing what that was. And within working, I had that time where I could devote to practicing and studying my craft. So it gave me an opportunity to expand my vocabulary. Let's just put it like that. My vocabulary expanded when when I moved to Europe, and it's still listening to all the cats, but it was got my vocabulary expanded. So
some of these cats are. I mean, I don't want to mispronounce their names, but I've seen their records. I mean, it was just still very cutting edge. Chris Hines, Jasper Van Hoff, Toto Blanque.
And Philip Catherine.
Oh my god, dude! So how did you see? Did you already know them before you went over there, or how did you sync up?
I met Philip through Chris. Through Chris, and his name is pronounced Hinsey.
Hinsey.
Yeah. So. Anyway, I met Chris introduced me to Philip. So anyway, that was some cutting edge stuff, and it was the and thinking about it now, it was the fusion stuff that was to come, but it was still, but this was taking place in Europe, and where Joe Zawinul, who was from Europe, he was in America, so he was in some ways doing some of the same things. So cutting edge. It was a magic time. Man, Jake, can you imagine?
No.
No. There were shows in which, and because of being in Europe, that's where I met the great Polish violinist Michael Urbaniak. So now Michael, I find out after I moved back to the States in 74, that Michael's there. So Michael and his wife Ursula Dudziak, they're doing their fusion stuff, and it was Michael, Ursula, a gentleman from Poland, Wladek Golgowski, and who was playing bass? Anthony Jackson and myself. So we're playing shows where Michael Urbaniak is opening for Larry Coryell. And Larry Coryell with Alphonse and Mike Lawrence and John Lee was playing bass. And so, no, I think Danny Tryfon was.
Yeah, no, dude, that is so. Dude, I'm trying to, because that 11th house, I'm not. It was Al Muzon and Danny Tryfon was definitely playing. That was the rhythms, and then they had
and Mike Mandel
and Mike
Lawrence.
Mike. Oh no! So Brecker was already out of the group, but Brecker was with Billy. Yeah.
Okay, so we were opening for Larry, and then Larry was opening for that the electric Return to Forever, and this is with Bill Connors playing guitar.
Wow.
Can you imagine shows like that?
No, man? Dude, that is mind-melting, dude. Mind-melting. I would be changed for life seeing one of those. Urbaniak, 11th House, Return to Forever.
Yeah. There were quite a few shows that where it was that lineup. So anyway, it was a, everybody was learning from everybody else. We open, and then it's like you're just okay. Yeah, you did your thing and stuff, but now you want to go and you want to hear what else is going on, and different. I won't say different vocabulary, but let's say kind of using that euphemism that Art Blakey used, something about eggs. It's like, there's many ways to scramble eggs. You dig?
Man.
Man. It was.
But I also I
Democrats and
want to
Fox,
I want to ask you though, like on top of just the insanity of the music, you guys were touring, these were gigs, and then Jerry Brown, as I'm reading here, you wind up in the 11th house, and you wind up playing with Return to Forever. I mean, in that treat with Stanley and Chick. So over time, connections were made that led to more employment.
Yeah, exactly.
And that to me is just so scintillating. I mean, would you say that the bread, today you have merchandise tables. A lot of the road dogs that I love, the only way they make money is off the merchandise table. And I don't,
Right.
there was none of that back. So can you talk about the bread that you were making on the gig? The bread was okay, wasn't it?
The bread was, hey, at that time to make, like $1,200 a week.
That's great.
Oh.
And the 70s? Are you kidding me?
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, that's real nice.
And you're practicing, you're practicing your craft. Well, as I would put it now, a lot of gratitude, man. I wouldn't have used that word then, but to look upon it now, it was extreme gratitude, man. Gratitude to be playing, gratitude to be rewarded financially for what you were doing.
Dude, this is I mean, I got goosebumps right now. No, that word gratitude.
Gratitude, man.
Gratitude is the attitude, because also, I mean, you were playing with the highest level of musicians there were in the world.
Yep.
And you were having a ball. I mean, you were having a ball. And happiness is our divine right. So I mean, it was so at the time though, you probably were in the moment, and maybe your ego is still a little bit vested. So maybe only in hindsight is there gratitude.
In hindsight, there was gratitude. Of course, to be in the presence of these cats and my drumming peers. I mean, to be in the presence of Alphonse Mouzon and then Lenny White, and then all of a sudden here comes Billy Cobb. And then along the way, then I run into this guy. It's like this tall, skinny cat, and playing his ass off. Oh, who's that? Oh, Terry Bozzio.
Oh my God!
Oh, but he's playing with. There were some gigs where Coryell opened for Zappa.
Right.
It's like, oh, geez.
This is the greatest. So this is when you joined the 11th house. You were opening for Zappa.
Yeah. There were quite a few shows we opened for Zappa, man. It's like, damn.
Oh my God! Gerry, I want to read you this. Because we're so great to reconnect with you. I want to read you this quote, and then you can extrapolate on it in your own career. This is from a great drummer, Joe Hunt, who played with, still with us, played with Stan Getz, and he played with Don Friedman, a lot of George Russell. He played with a lot of heavy cats. He said, I was working with Stan Getz, and I had just gotten out of the Army when he hired me. When I was in the Army, I was off the scene, so I was practicing every day, beating on a pad, keeping my hands up. When I joined Getz, I continued to play this pad. He saw me in the hotel one day practicing, and he said, "Stop doing that." I said, "What do you mean? I'm practicing, Stan." He said, "Don't do it anymore." It freaked me out, so I went to talk to Gerry Burton. I said, "Gerry, Stan said I can't practice anymore." Gerry said, "I know what he means. We're playing every night, and your playing is getting pretty boring. You get this solo feature each night, and you're playing the same stuff. Stan's probably right. You should probably think more about what you're doing instead of beating on a pad. If you're practicing for the sake of practicing, I think that's overrated. I was banging out paradiddles and Stan threw me a life raft. I sat in a chair and thought about how I wanted to play that night. We played the same stuff every night, so I began to hear it in my head, and when I went to the gig, I let myself go, and when it came to my solo spot, I wasn't even there. It was like smoking weed without the pot. Can you relate that? I mean, not that you were doing paradiddles or not that exact thing, but where someone just sort of did a Zen. These guys were Zen masters. Miles was a Zen master. Stan Getz, even though he was insane, was a Zen master. They knew that if you were just playing by yourself or practicing the same stuff, it was going to come out sounding boring and not fresh. And I just wonder if you can relate that to any.
I can relate to that, kind of like to paraphrase.
Yeah,
I think something that Miles had played, like, play what you don't know.
Right, play like you don't know how to play. play like you don't know how to play the guitar. Yeah, that's what he said to McLaughlin. Yeah.
So I get it, and yes, it does. For what's his name, Joe Hunt?
Joe Hunt, massive, sick drummer. That was probably in the mid '60s. He recorded with Stan. The guy was everywhere. He taught at Berkeley for a while, from Indiana, but. I just wonder about, to me, like, the other thing, going back to the sports analogy, is like, Jerry Brown, can you talk about a time that you ever have a prolonged slump in your career, and how did you snap out of it?
I thought I had a little slump in between. This was like 86 to 88, and I thought I was like in a slump, and I had probably gotten into a few bad habits,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed to get out of that, and I was playing with Stanley and stuff, but anyway, it was the keyboard player David Garfield.
Yes.
Who got me on the George Benson gig at 88. And then George said some things to me about, it's like, okay, brother. Okay, brother.
Yeah.
You know the music now. Take your head out of the music. Play. So one of those epiphanies. It's like you were given some a golden nugget, and it's something to think about. You were told this by an elder. So
how did you? I mean, can you take us, or best you can remember? I mean, maybe you were thinking. How did you learn? How did you, quote unquote, as Joe Hunt said, it was like smoking pot without the weed. How did you get out of your head? Especially because, like, sometimes someone like Benson, who's just a genius, and like, when I interviewed Benson, he talked about James Brown coming up to him in the mid '60s and being like, I want you to join my band. And he's like, Mr. Brown, I'm a jazz musician. He's like, can you imagine he's like, how dumb am I to turn this guy down? He's like, it took me 11 years to finally hit the gold with Breezin' or whatever. But to me, it would be a little bit daunting, because I just would love you to take us through that process of how you were patient enough with yourself, if it was a relatively new process, not that you were playing fusion music per se, but how you learned to, get out of your own way.
Just kind of figuring out. It's like, okay, what have you been doing?
Right.
Okay, and it's like kind of looking at that, and it's like, okay, now maybe it's time to start. That you can get your point across with less. You don't need to play as much. You can take some things away.
Right.
If you can take some things away and still get that point across, might that not serve you? And then to kind of see, that process and then seeing the reactions from other people and seeing how all of a sudden there's some smiles that you weren't expecting. and it's like, well, all right.
Less is more. Don't be so busy, Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need to be that busy.
Right.
I don't need to be that busy. So,
No, it's so classic. I mean, that's so what Larry Klein. I don't know if you ever played with him, the great bass player. He was with Freddie Hubbard. This is just more of like a social situation where, he's sitting there with he said it was backstage at the Bijou Cafe or something, and there's just a bunch of super fly looking cats, around, and there's Larry's like the one white guy, and he made some. Just because he felt like he had to talk, he said something stupid, and everybody Freddie kind of looked at him and was like, he didn't say anything, but the message was, you don't need to say anything if there's nothing that needs to be said. And the same thing goes for playing as well.
Right.
Don't overplay. And then, honestly, but I think that's easier said than done. I really do. I think that is in itself discipline. That's called discipline.
That's what I was going to say. Discipline. Yep.
Indeed. And you feel like now, as a team player, that what are you working on? What are you trying to discipline yourself with now? Is it more just like saying, hey, I want to be in the game, so I'm going to compromise, where before Jerry Brown, Infinite Jones, uncompromisable? I'm just curious about what we all suffer from falling into addictive patterns, or we fall out of discipline. But you've played with all the cats. You've played with everyone, and I'm just still trying. You want to be in the game. So what are some of the things that you've done to not just compromise, but what are you working on specifically in terms of disciplining yourself? Is it more mental than physical at this point?
I think it's as much. It's very much a mental game. I think the physical portion of it comes from me. It's not that I have to spend hours and hours of practicing, because just walking around, I'm doing enough practicing in my head, but and just hearing stuff, and it's like, there's always that drum set that's set up in the brain.
Right.
You never have, you never really, at least for me, you never really break it down.
Beep, it's always popping around.
It's always popping around. So there's that side of it. I would say, because now that I'm now 72 years old, so I'm very aware of taking care of myself and going to the gym and doing the right things, and I don't want to bulk up, but I want to have my flexibility and strength and my cardio. So it's like, okay, I'll go to the gym and I'm listening to stuff, and as I'm listening to stuff, I'm always on that drum set, and so I'm practicing for myself physically and mentally of like always on the drum set. And it's like, I hear this, I hear that beat or whatever it is. How, can you see yourself playing that? can you just lay it down just like that? Can you, if you need to, lay it down and don't play a fill? You know, and if you start to think about playing the fill, say,
I love this, dude. I am loving.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Stop.
Do that.
Stop.
Stop. You know,
Too much. Too much language, right? Too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A rest is your friend.
Yeah, space is the place, man. That's music too, man.
Space is your friend.
Right.
That's your friend too. You know, so all those types of exercises daily.
Have you ever had an opportunity? I'm curious about this. A couple of things that I wanted to ask you about was, have you played double drums before with somebody?
I did some double drums a couple of times with you mean two bass drums?
No, I mean like two full trap sets.
Man,
because I mean there was like like they did, Tony Williams and Billy Cobb did the little thing together, but also like the Allman Brothers. There's some of the more hippie folk bands, so to speak. But I'm like, because that to me is one of those things where I just remember John Tropez, the guitar player, talking about watching Steve Gadd and Rick Marotta play, and just like seamless and partnership. And I was like, I wonder if Gerry ever had that opportunity with any of the cats.
Not enough, but
not enough.
But I will say a couple of times when, and this was kind of like one of those magic eras when Yamaha in the early 2000s were doing the Groove Night at the NAMM show, and you playing with the mini drummers from Yamaha, and guys would come out individually and they play their songs, and then at the end of the night, everyone would be jamming and you playing with different drummers.
Right.
Well, that was a treat. And then within that Groove Night, there were some of those events I saw and heard that, that seamless groove between Gadd and Marotta.
Oh, you never got to. I mean, it's just it. You never were like with Ndugu or like I'm picturing you with like I mean you shared the drum chair in so many of these iconic bands. Part of me just always feels like the more rhythm the better, and obviously you got to play your part. I mean you got to be a team ultimately. Marotta and Gadd, that stuff is not rehearsed. They just flow into that.
They just flowed into that. I did it a couple of times with Ndugu that they would put on the event in Los Angeles, and this was in the 90s when I did it a few years with them. Day of the Drums.
Wow.
And we would play. We would play together, so it was great. But on the other hand, just not enough instances of that happening. And when you mentioned the Allman Brothers, man,
JMO,
that those grooves have withstood the test of time.
You're 100%, 100%. And yeah, I mean, it's funny because Joe Cocker and Mad Dogs and Englishmen, not as well known, also had he had Jim Gordon and Jim Keltner on that for a while. It was kind of a trendy thing, you know.
Well, if I tell you now, if I could choose a partner to do a double drums thing, yes, Gad would be in there, Murata would be there, but probably first choice would be Jim Keltner.
Thank you, God, dude. Please tell me about. You know what? I hope he's all right. I called him 3 days ago, left him a voicemail. I'm sure he's fine, but please tell me. I mean, I was thinking that you guys have collaborated, or at least are friends.
Yes, we are.
I'm so happy to hear that, man. Yeah, tell me about, because Keltner grew up as a jazz freak. I mean, you feel like well, first of all, you feel like you guys would be able to stay out of each other's way? I mean, someone would sort of play counterpoint, so to speak, or how do you feel that would? Why do you think he would be a good match?
I would say that willingness to listen. Like where it's like, right. I want to find, I have so much reverence for, I mean, I have a lot of reverence, but with Keltner, he's just one of those special people that walk the planet. So to sit on a stage or wherever, and he's on a set, and I'm on a set, I'm going to listen to, no, Jim, you got to start this. I want to hear how you're laying it down, and then I'm going to see if I can delve into the counterpoint to make this percolate.
Oh, I love this. Jesus, let's make this happen. Let's make it happen.
I've seen some of those videos of like him with the traveling Wilburys.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Man, the groove is like, it's like sap dripping from the tree, baby. It's like, damn. Man, just simple. It's like, check this cat out, man. Just laying it down with the sunglasses. Look at him.
No, I've seen those videos. It is sap from the tree.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful thing, man.
Gerry, listen. My younger daughter is actually she's in the ER right now. She's okay. She's just but her mother is like freaking out, and I need to go attend to that. Can we put a placeholder in this and do this? I don't know if you're going to be around next week, or we can finish this up. We got more to do.
Hey, we got more to do, man. Listen, take care of your family. Blessings all around. Do what you need to do, man.
All right, let's stay in touch. I love you, Gerry.
Much love, Jake. Thank you, brother.
All right, brother. We'll do it again.
All right, man.
All right, peace.
Peace.
Bye.